Okay, today we're in section 4.7, fractions and decimals. In example 1, we're changing a fraction to a decimal. Changing a fraction over to a decimal. So a fraction indicates what operation? What did we just say? Division. Very good. Fraction indicates division. So I have the fraction 7/20. All right, there's two ways that you can do this. If you have the Casio calculator, I want you to find the fraction button on your calculator. So that's going to be on your second row, far left. Find the fraction button. Enter 7/20 as a fraction. You'll enter the 7, hit the down arrow on the center dial, and then enter your 20. Okay? If you have the Casio. Okay, you don't, so do it the second way. Okay? All right, if you have the Casio, enter it as a fraction, press the equal sign, and then change it to a decimal, your S to D button. Okay, so when you hit the S to D button, what do you get? What's your decimal? 0.35, okay? Now, having that calculator is going to be beneficial, especially when it comes to reducing fractions, because you can reduce fractions on your calculator. Now, if you don't have that function on your calculator, say you have one like this, like the one I'm holding up, just a basic calculator, all right, we are going to divide the top number by the bottom number. So in our calculators, 7 divided by 20. Use your division sign. And what do you get?
7.
Did you do it? Put it in your calculator. Okay, 7 divided by 20 is 0.35. It's the same thing. So if you don't have the fraction button, all you have to do is simply divide the top number by the bottom number. Everybody clear on that? You got it, Zach? Understand? Okay, so 0.35. Now, what if you had a mixed number? All right, what if you had, let's see. All right, what if you had 3 and 5/8? Okay, now your 3, okay, that's a whole number, right? So that number is just going to go in your ones place in your decimal. The 5/8, that's the part that's the fraction, that's what I need to change to a decimal. So again, in your calculators, whether you use the fraction button or just divide top by bottom, what is 5/8 as a decimal? Okay, so put it in your calculators. What is 5/8 as a decimal? Change it over to a decimal. All right, so do I write it 0.625? No, I need to combine them, right? I know that 3 is my whole number, so it's 3 and 625 thousandths. Okay, so I just combine them together. Any questions on that?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so now I want you to do your turn now, numbers 1 through 4. All right, it's basically the same thing as we just did in example 1. All right, we're changing the fraction to a decimal. Okay, so what's number 1 going to be? 0.3. Make sure you have that 0 out front. 3/10. All right, what about number 2?
0.085.
Very good. 85 thousandths. What about number 3?
3 and 8/10.
Very good. 3 and 8/10. And number 4?
2 and 875 thousandths.
Do you agree?
Yes, I do.
Yes, 2 and 875 thousandths. Very good. Who got all 4? Anybody get all 4? Okay. Anybody get all 4? All right, any questions? Maybe just didn't finish all 4 of them. Any questions, guys, changing a fraction to a decimal? All right, moving on to example 2. Now, in example 2, I'm still doing the exact same thing, except my decimals are not going to work out to be an even number. They're going to be repeating decimals. So let's do 5/3. Okay, 5/3. Now, whichever way you choose is fine. You can enter it as a fraction using the button, or you can simply do 5 divided by 3. 5 divided by 3, and what do you get? 1.666, and it keeps going. So since 6 is the only number that's repeating, I only need to write it one time, but what do I need to write above it? The line above it, the bar above it. Now make sure that your bar does not blend in with your boxed in answer. I have a lot of students doing this. And they say, oh, Miss Kinder, I had the bar there. Well, can I tell? Can I see your bar? Not really. It looks like your boxed in answer. So make sure that your boxed in answer, you have some clear space there. All right, now what if you had this fraction, 13 over 33? Go ahead and change that to a decimal. 13 over 33.
0.39.
Okay, hold on. 13 over 33. What'd you get, Larry? 13 over 33. What'd you get for your decimal? All right, so Larry, what is it? 0.39 repeating. Now, are both numbers repeating?
No, just a 9.
No, both numbers are repeating. Okay, so both the 3 and the 9 are repeating, so the bar needs to go above each number. All right, now I want you to do numbers 5, 6, 7, and 8 the same way. Now, these are not going to work out evenly, and that's okay. All right, we just need to use our bar to indicate the repeating decimals. Okay, what's the answer to number 5?
0.77.
Okay, 0.7 repeating. All right, 0.7 repeating. And then what about number 2 or number 6?
2.16.
Which number is repeating?
6.
Just the 6. Just the 6. So make sure that bar is only over the 6. The 1 is not repeating. What about number 7?
2.45 repeating.
2.45 repeating. And which numbers are repeating?
45.
The 4 and the 5. So the bar goes above both. What about number 8?
4.136.
Okay, and which numbers are repeating?
36.
Just the 3 and the 6. Okay, so if your bar goes above the 1, 2, then that's going to be wrong. So make sure you only put the repeating bar over the numbers that are actually repeating. All right, now in example 3, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Now we're going to do the opposite way. Now we're going from a decimal to a fraction. So go ahead and in your notes write 0.85 or 85 hundredths. Go ahead and write that number in your notes. Now when I'm changing a decimal to a fraction, I need to pay attention to the place value of my last digit in my decimal. And what place is the 5 in? It's in the hundredths place. So 100 is my denominator. Whatever place the last digit of your decimal is in, that number goes in your denominator. And then your entire decimal value goes in your numerator. All right? Now, this is not your final answer because you have to write your fraction in simplest form. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. If your calculator does not have the fraction button, you're going to need to reduce it the old-fashioned way just by finding a number that goes into both. If, however, your calculator has the fraction button, I want you to enter this fraction in your calculator using the fraction button. Enter this fraction using that button, 85 over 100. Now press equals. And it reduces it for you. Okay? And when it reduces it for you, what do you get?
17 over 20.
17 over 20. Again, that's just a little feature. It's a nice feature for those of you who have the Casio. If you don't, just reduce it like normal. You can reduce fractions. It's just with some of them, they tend to be pretty big. So it's just a little bit easier. Okay? All right, so 17 over 20. All right, now let's look at this one. What if I had 4 37 hundredths? Well, or I'm sorry, 375 thousandths. Now, what is this going to be in your fraction? Am I going to have just a fraction or will I have a mixed number? I'm going to have a mixed number. Okay, so 4 is my whole number in my mixed number. And then the 375 thousandths, that's what I write as a fraction. So again, what place value is my 5 in? It's in the thousandths, so what number goes in my denominator? 1,000. 1,000. Now, what number goes in your numerator? 375. Okay, the entire decimal value goes in your numerator. See, now this is where that fraction button is going to come in handy because reducing 375 might take a little bit of work. Now you can do it. You know that 25 goes into both numbers. Or you can use your calculator, put 375 over 1,000, hit the equal sign, and what does it reduce to? 3/8. Okay, you can actually reduce it by 125. All right, so shortcut if you use your calculator. If you don't have that button, just reduce like normal. Okay, now I think we're going to do another your turn now. Let's go ahead and do numbers 9 through 12. Changing the decimal to a fraction. Decimal to a fraction. What's number 9?
2/5.
2/5. Very good, because it's going to be 4/10, and then I need to reduce it to 2/5. All right, what about number 10?
2 and 13 over 20.
2 and 13 over 20. Very good. What about number 11?
1 and 400.
1 and 1 over 400. What about number 12?
145 over 200.
Very good.
Is it 45?
All right, who got all 4? Who got all 4? Awesome. Good job, guys. Very good. Okay, it's very easy if you have a calculator. If you don't, it's going to be pretty challenging. Okay, one more example. I need y'all paying attention to this last example. Okay, now this should look pretty familiar, right? Ordering numbers least to greatest. But what's our first problem? My denominators. Now, here's the challenge here, though. Okay, finding an LCD is going to be pretty tough. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah, because my numbers are all over the place. Okay, so instead, there's another way that I can order these least to greatest, and that's by converting each number to a decimal. So I want you to convert each one of these fractions to decimals. Okay, so 1/6 becomes 0.16, repeating. 17 over 400 becomes
0.0425.
good. 1 over 25 becomes
400.
and 1/25.
72 down.
Okay, very good. Now, I need to figure out which one of these decimals is the lowest value, is the least value. So I'm going to look first at my tens place. Well, here's a 1, a 0, a 0, and a 0. So it's definitely one of these 3, okay? All right, so now I need to look at my hundredths place. I have a 4, and a 7. So this one's out. It's between these 2. And now I need to go to my third decimal place. I have a 2, and what's understood here? A 0. So which one is the smallest? 1 over 25. Very good. 1/25. And in my answer, I need to write it in its original form. That's why I wanted you writing it directly underneath its original. Because in your answer, you're writing it in its original form. So I got 1/25, and then what comes next? Hold on, in its original form.
17 over 400.
Very good. 17 over 400, then what? 9 over 125, then 1/6. And that's my answer. So these are the only questions on your homework tonight that there is work to show. If you do not show how you converted these fractions to decimals, you're going to lose all the points on these questions. That would be -5. Okay? So make sure you show converting to decimals on these 2 questions on your homework. The rest of them, please make sure you write the original problem and then box in your answer. Most of the work can be done on your calculator, so I'm not expecting you to show anything on your papers. All right, if you understand that, that's everything you need to know for 4.7. And that's the last section in Chapter 4.